Well, Anthony, nice little train journey down. We are in
Was.
the Principality of Wales, Cardiff, and it's all the action on Saturday night. Of course, Joe Cordina in against Rakhimov. We saw what he did against your friend and mine, Zelfa Barrett, but could be a different proposition for him. So we're here to find out, what's going to go on, what they're all going to say. Shall we get on with it? Have you any thoughts before we go in and see the presser?
I cannot wait. I cannot wait for Saturday night. I think it's got the makings where it can't fail to be a fantastic fight. I'll save me a prediction for in a bit, but yeah, let's go.
Okay. Well, we're in Cardiff, of course. It's all about Joe Cordina, and he's going to try and get back what is rightfully his.
Yeah, of course. I got stripped of the title out of my hands due to an injury. I still feel like I'm a world champion without the actual title. So I got to go out there Saturday and grab this opportunity with both hands.
Joe, last time out, everyone spoke about it in the press conference. Atmosphere was absolutely unreal. We're going to get another sellout Saturday night. One thing that impressed me then is that you want to make this a home. Like, obviously you're a Cardiff lad, but how important is it to you to bring these big nights back to Cardiff?
Yeah, it's very important for me. I've gone to all the small hall shows in Cardiff over the last 10 years, and I've seen a lot of good fighters come through and not really get the recognition.
Opportunity.
And they haven't got the opportunities because they're, like I said, up there, they're out of sight, out of mind. They don't really get seen by the big promoters unless they're 20-0, 15-0 or whatever, or then they've worked themselves into a British title shot. So yeah, when I turned pro, that was one of my goals, is to bring big nights of boxing back to Cardiff, make this my home. And like you did with Manchester, obviously I got to come off the back of Carl Zaghi. There was a little gap in between, same with you coming off the back of Ricky Hatton. But there's always someone, and in the gap between me and Joe, there was no one. So I felt like when it was time for me to turn pro, I'd done so much in my amateur career, I had the platform to come in. And
you give that opportunity to this next in line. We saw some very talented lads on the undercard, and hopefully you can give them that little platform.
And that's what I plan on doing, and this is the start.
It's important as well, though, isn't it? I mean, we want to see talent throughout the UK, not just going to London or Manchester or anything. There are hotbeds, obviously, but here, and you're not shy about coming to Cardiff. You boxed here as well, didn't you? Anthony Joshua undercard, and there's been some massive nights, and again, it's set up for it, isn't it?
It's
the venues, the big stadium, obviously, but all the venues here, they're great, aren't they? They're all set up for this.
Yeah, of course. It's, how can I say this? You got the CIA, the Motor Point Arena, it's just moved back to the CIA, Cardiff International. You've got the Millennium Stadium. I think that's a bit, unless it's heavyweights, it's a bit out of reach for me. Then you've got Cardiff City Stadium. Then you've got the Arms Park just around the corner. You've got Cardiff Castle. There's some big venues for some big nights here. Like I said, the Millennium's a bit out of my reach, but all the rest, I reckon I can do them. And in time, but you have to have the right dancing partner. And to be honest, Rakhimov ain't the right dancing partner for me to do a Cardiff City Stadium. It's perfect for the CIA at the moment. Yeah. Once we get that title back, and I look to unify, then we maybe move to the Cardiff City Stadium, the Cardiff Castle, and bring another big night back to Cardiff.
But you're on about that. I mean, obviously, Zelfa Barrett sat there at the table and he wants a piece of the action, but you look at the other champions. I mean, what's kind of, as far as you're concerned, what is that biggest fight for you?
To take it to me.
For me, it's a unification. Yeah. When Shakur Stevenson was at the weight, he was the one. Because arguably he's one of the, for me, he's top 5 pound for pound fighters on the planet. But he's moved up a weight now. Yeah, he said on a TalkSport interview that he wanted to do a catch weight with me, and it's still a big fight, but he's chasing titles at that weight now. Don't get me wrong, I'd love it and I'd welcome it with open arms, but at the same time, I don't want to be waiting around chasing a catch weight fight with Shakur when I won't be wasting time, and I'll be fighting for a unification. So for me, any of them champions who've got the belts, obviously I've got to do my job on Saturday, but anyone who's got a belt, that's what I want.
Joe, do you know, in the Abu Dhabi card, you was there, you was sat ringside. Had you got your head round it, or was it still unbelievably hard to watch Rakhimov and Zelfa Barrett fighting out for what you see and a lot of people see as your title?
Yeah, it was quite tough.
Yeah.
It was the build-up that was tough, not the actual fight.
Everything
it was the
before
build-up, like doing all this, watching them sit
It's like
up
you
there.
was passing them the
yeah,
belt.
and
yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah.
But listen,
You won't say that after you've done 57 more interviews.
Yeah.
no. But it's one of them things. Whatever I did, whatever fuss I tried to kick up, nothing was going to change. So I might as well have got over it, which I did get over it at a point. But when I went over to Abu Dhabi and I watched them get up there, and the title was in between them, and they're both back and forth saying their little bits, and I thought, all right, yeah, this is not for me. And I just wanted to get out of the press conference, the open workout as soon as possible. But I was over there to do some media also, so I had to stay. But when I watched them fight, it wasn't. I didn't have that feeling. That was all gone, and I just couldn't wait to get my hands on it.
On the winner. Yeah.
So just before you go as well, and we're going to get a final kind of prediction of what Cardiff's going to be like. I just want to throw one at you as well. It's not your division, but it's a fascinating fight in terms of Garcia and Davis at the weekend. So I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, it's a split opinion in many ways. I mean, I think Tank's the favourite, but what do you think?
Yeah, if I had to lean to one side, I'd lean to Tank. Obviously, people are going on about the size of Ryan Garcia and whatever else and his speed, but Tank have fought people with power, height, speed all his career. He's not the biggest of guys, but he's a big puncher, and I think Ryan Garcia do get caught, and it's only going to be a matter of time when Tank do land. But at the same time, I've been over the last couple of days thinking the confidence that Ryan Garcia have got, he must be doing something or showing something in the gym or seeing something that we don't, and he thinks he can exploit. But yeah, I'm going back and forth, but if I had to lean to one side, I'd lean towards Tank.
Joe, finally from me. I've been a big Joe Cordina fan from day one, but there was always, I remember there was an article and it asked all of the 2016 Olympics, which was an unbelievably talented squad, pound for pound, who'd you rate as number one? And you come top of that list with so many of them. And I want to ask you, because I can't remember, who did you pick out of that 2016 squad if you can't see yourself?
It would have probably been Boatsi.
Yeah.
Boatsi.
He's knocking on the doors for world title now.
For me, he's got a bit of everything
completely
out of that. Then you got Coley. He's good at what he does. He's good at what he does. Sometimes people complain about he's not pleasing on the eye, but clearly he's a world champion, and what he's done is working.
Yeah.
So why change? Then you got, like I said, Boati's a bit all round. You had Josh Kelly, who's unbelievably talented.
Yeah. Was Pat McCormack in that?
Oh, Pat McCormack.
He was young in that time, wasn't he?
Yeah. But see him.
That was some squad.
Pat is unbelievable, and he'll 100%. If he don't win a world title, he's underachieved. Yeah. I believe. But there were so many talented fighters, and all of them boys, I was fighting all around the world for years and years and years, and we grew up together basically. So it was always nice to see all them boys do well in their careers. Obviously you got Fowler doing a CBD at the minute.
Yeah, he's doing all right.
He's probably doing all right.
He might be doing the best out of everyone.
So yeah, that's a bit of promotion as well, Fowler. Get some money over to me. I'll send you my bank tickets later. But yeah, it was a great team nevertheless.
Final one, Joe. It's a big night in Cardiff. Yeah. We're not going to talk about the football today. Anthony normally likes to bring that in, but it's not going so great in Cardiff, is it, really, in terms of football? But
we had a 3-1 win last night.
It's still not where you want to be.
Without the relegation zone.
Yeah, exactly. But you're going to put smiles on faces then. What's going to happen on the night? What we're going to see from you? I mean, you kind of said it up there in the press conference, but say it again.
Well, for me, I'm going out there to get the win. Yeah. I don't never look for a knockout. Even in the last fight, me and Tony, we worked on certain things, and when I landed, he went asleep. So I'm going out there to win. If the knockout's there, it's there. As you know, and you look for a knockout, it never comes. Yeah. So I'll just follow instructions, follow the game plan, and if it's an early night, it's an early night, and I'll be happy because you don't get paid for overtime, and I can go home, maybe nip to a little restaurant before I get out and party.
Fair play to you. Good luck, Joe.
Thank
Joe,
you
all
very
the
much.
best.
Well, there is a very, very special fight, of course, the lightweight division. You might know a bit about that, Anthony, a former WBA lightweight champion of the world, but it is red hot, and that's no understatement. I mean, you've got guys that are in and around the division as well, but the four main protagonists will focus on the fight over the weekend, though.
Yeah.
You've got this kid, Garcia, this pretty boy, if you like, the Instagram king,
Some people
against
accuse him of being a
Gervonta
social
Davis.
media boxer.
Yeah, well,
He's
all right,
much
you
more
break
than
this.
that.
You break this down. Then. Two undefeated
think-
fighters, two with fantastic knockout ratios as well. You know, again, is it the slightly more seasoned Davis against the bigger guy in Garcia? Go on, break it down.
So, genuinely, in 2018, I first met Ryan Garcia. I remember Liam Smith fought Jamie Mungai. He was there in the back, and I was talking to him, and he said, "I want this fight out of the way. I can't think who was fighting, and I want Tank next." That's 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was building up then. There was the social media. I'll come at your gym now for sparring.
He was only
I'll come at your
20
gym.
then?
Yes, yeah, he was literally a
Yeah.
boy. And I believe now he has grown into a man, and physically he looks, so much stronger. But this is a genuine good match, which has built up over the years, and they're very different. I think you've got Gervonta Davis, who's he's the kid from Baltimore. He's the street kid. He's without doubt boxing has saved him. Many people who he grew up with and he hung around with who are no longer with us or they're in prison. The typical story, but it's a very genuine story with him. With Ryan Garcia, you've got the pretty boy, you've got the social media star, but I say about Ryan Garcia, you only have to look at his fight with Luke Campbell, who was a world-class lightweight and lucky not to win a world title. After the knockdown, which was heavy in their fight, he got up and, he took a few, but he walked Luke down and he beat him up, and Luke was a very good fighter, so he's for real. And it's such an hard one to pick, and I keep chopping, changing. I will see the fight panning out, and I wouldn't be one bit surprised if I'm wrong. But my final prediction is I'm gonna go for Tank Davis to win inside 6 unbelievably exciting rounds. Edgy but exciting because they've both got the power to switch each other's lights off. But I just believe Tank's going to come over the top with a shot, it's going to land, and he has got that kind of power, that concussive power to end it. They've both got different types of power, one punch power. I just believe Tank might take the better shot, which will be the difference.
And very finally then, because that's fight at 136, a slight a catch weight, but the other one that we're looking forward to, of course, Haney Lomachenko, your old mate. What happens in that one, and who's the king of the lightweights then?
Who's the king of the lightweights? I believe that night. Listen, you've got to say Haney's the king of the lightweights because he's got all the belts.
He's got the belts, but
I believe that night, I think there's unbelievable value in Vasily Lomachenko to regain those belts. And I believe
you
he does
still
it
feel
on
those
points.
shots?
I
Is
think
that why?
Haney, I've got to say it, Anna. I've got to say it. But no, I just genuinely think he has got that one more great performance in him. And I believe Haney is absolutely huge at the weight. I think when you're fighting someone with the angles, the movement of a Lomachenko, it's your worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Certainly my worst nightmare. But I just believe Lomachenko regains that night, and then we see what happens.
Well, there you have it. Anthony $1 Million Crolla with the full breakdown of Tank against Garcia this weekend. Well, again, we're going to deal with a big story at the end of this, but just why are we in Cardiff today? I mean, just talk us through why you've dragged us here. Joe Cordina, what we're going to expect?
I think you're going to get a great fight. I mean, listen, last time Cordina wasn't on the verge. He became a big star with that one-punch knockout of Agawa. All of a sudden, goes back to the gym a week after, for some reason, as a lot of fighters do, straight after a victory, just for that 1 week. Hurts his hand a little bit, has a rest, goes back, goes into training camp for Rakhimov. First punch of the spar, breaks his hand. All of a sudden, out for 6 months, gets stripped because of the ruling of the exemption from the IBF. And then Rakhimov, I sign him to fight Zelfa Barrett, hoping Zelfa wins. But it was a great fight, but he didn't. And now Rakhimov faces Joe Cordina. So Joe's got a chance to be a 2-time world champion without ever losing in a really good fight. Big crowd in Cardiff, great undercard as well. Live on the Zone. And then, particularly for UK subscribers, congratulations, because you go from this fight into Tank against Ryan Garcia. No pay-per-view as part of your subscription. So we expect a great night on Saturday, and I believe Joe Cordina is going to stop him on Saturday night. I think it'll be a tough fight, but I believe he'll do the business.
Mean though, Rakhimov, isn't he? Mean looking fella.
He is very Beauty and the Beast type for me. But hey, Ed, I know we're going to get on to Tank and Garcia. However, Joe mentioned it up there, and I know this is what you'd be wanting to do, but how important is it for the build that you've built a little star here in Cardiff, haven't you? And I think before, he's mentioned after Joe Karzaki, they've not really had, I know you had like your Nathan Cleverly's, Enzo and stuff like that, but he's got the potential to be massive here in Cardiff, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he looks the part. He's an exciting fighter. He talks well. He's achieved a lot in the amateurs. He's the kind of, I think he's like, you've got to have that poster boy kind of look. I mean, until you grew your hair, Crolla, you had that poster boy look as well.
Means a lot,
in Manchester.
He's going,
But with Joe, you know, I think you've got this 5,000 seater just under arena in Cardiff, which is going to be sold out on Saturday night.
Yes.
Then there's the next level, which the next level here is outdoors at Cardiff City. And to do that, you need to be a star and you need to have big fights.
Right, dance
and then you've got Millennium Stadium, but that's one for you know, AJ and maybe Joe one day. But I think that here in this catchment area, there's nothing else right now. So he's got a massive opportunity. The atmosphere on Saturday will be brilliant, but it's a really good fight. Like I just love nights like this. I mean, the undercard's great, but this fight is a world level fight. Where Joe can show how good he is.
Yeah.
And it's nice to go into a fight as a challenger, honestly, with the confidence that we have as a team, that we really believe he wins on Saturday.
Yeah.
You mentioned the other thing that's happening stateside as well, which is it's got a lot of people talking anyway. You talk about this show and everything else, but where do you stand on the old Tank Garcia?
I've gone round in circles really. Like I watched Tank win a world title at the Barclays Centre against Pedraza, and I thought, Jesus Christ, this kid is unbelievable. And he is a really good fighter, and he's boxed at a high level for a long time. But even when he beats people like Garcia and Romero, they're still like decent fighters. You know, Barros is a good fighter as well. Big crowds, big occasions. And I never really rated Ryan Garcia. Like, you know, I know he beat Luke Campbell. He was decked in that fight, and he looked, you know, he done well to come through the fight. But he hasn't really beaten any elite lightweights. Like, I know he beat Luke, and I know he beat Fortuna, but that's kind of about it. So I always thought when this fight was made, there's no way that Ryan Garcia can win this fight. Then I started speaking to people and getting their opinion, just randomly in a chat. People like Eddie Reynoso and Canelo and Shakur Stevenson, who was at my show, and Devin. And they give Ryan Garcia a lot of chance in this fight, which makes me think, well, actually, he really can fight. We know he punches very hard. So I started to say, no, I'm actually going for a Ryan Garcia stoppage.
Yes.
Right? Then as I was explaining why I was doing it the other day, I thought to myself, no, don't be silly.
Nice.
But
that's what makes it a great fight,
it is. But so I go for Tank.
Inside the distance.
Yes, round 6 to 9. But if Tank gives him too much respect, and if it's a fencing competition, if he lets him use his reach and his size and isn't prepared to close the distance, I think he's going to be dangerous for him. If he's tentative, because Ryan's super sharp, especially with a left hook, but Tank's got a very high boxing IQ. I think if he cuts the distance off, if he moves in with his feet, if he's aggressive on the inside, he will knock him out. I don't think Ryan Garcia has the greatest chin in the world.
Yeah.
But if he's tentative...
He did get up after Luke though, didn't he?
He did, but listen, I love Luke.
Yes.
But he's not a huge puncher.
Like Tank.
And Tank is a huge puncher.
Massive, yeah.
And at 136 pounds, which Ryan's going to be boiled down to, and with the rehydration clause, which isn't unreasonable in terms of the number of it, I just feel like you can visualise him getting knocked clean out. Do you know what I mean? I can't visualise Tank getting knocked clean out. But listen, what a fight. What a fight.
Red, we were saying on the way up, so in that lightweight division, I know at the minute, I know you've done bits of Haney and stuff, but you don't promote any of them. So as a neutral, you've got Tank Garcia, I know it's a pound above lightweight. Haney and Loma fight next month.
Yeah.
Shakur Stevenson, obviously, he's kind of run out. Who do you see as number one? Who comes top out of that?
I mean, it's funny, isn't it, when you start breaking down resumes and stuff like that. Like, I think Devin will beat Lomachenko comfortably, right? I think just a mixture of stages in their career and timing. Devin's so big and long and like, but it's a fascinating fight between two great fighters. But then when you look at Devin's wins, like the reality is the only one that he's beaten is Kambosos.
Yeah.
Kambosos had a life and death with Lee Selby.
Yep, could have gone either way.
Right? He beat Teofimo Lopez, which you have to give him unbelievable props for, but Teofimo was all over the place. And listen, Kambosos was unbelievable that night.
Yeah.
Then you look at the resume of Shakur Stevenson, who again hasn't really beaten anyone, but, I mean, he beat Oscar Valdez, but he hasn't really beaten anyone at the lightweight. But for me, he's unquestionably a pound. I think this. I don't think he's the most exciting, and nor's Devin.
Yes.
Right. But Shakur Stevenson may well be unbeatable.
Talent.
May well be unbeatable right now. So, but without the resume at lightweight, I can't tell you categorically. But look, Devin, Shakur, Tank, Ryan Garcia, and all those guys are going to go to 140.
Yeah.
And then throw in the mix Regis Prograis, throw in the mix Jack Catterall, Josh Taylor, Teofimo Lopez.
Yeah.
What? Some tremendous
Exciting
fights
times.
there at 140. So, but I think if you ask me who my money would be on, do you see anyone in that division beating Shakur Stevenson right
That's
now?
your answer.
Do you?
Yeah. No, I just think timing. I think Loman's going to beat Hearn.
Do you?
However, I think the timing. I think Shakur
Looks
Stevenson.
better for you, doesn't it?
Just a bit. I can't go against it, can I? No, but I think Shakur Stevenson will come out on top against any of them now. I think timing. Listen, with Loman's career and stuff like that, but he's a special talent.
Yeah.
Listen, Anthony's moved on now. You're bringing the Loma thing on.
I know.
He's
His
moved
brothers-
on.
Don't make this about
Listen,
me.
what makes your brother fight now?
Guys, a light middleweight. He's a big lad, isn't
he
he?
is.
Super well.
So you keep him away from Loma now. Can't go for the brotherly
Yeah, I won't be going
revenge
for that
on
family pride. Yeah.
That's the thing that you're talking to the trainer manager of William $1 billion Crolla.
Is that what it's going to be?
Nah,
Yeah?
it's
Nah,
not.
it's absolutely not.
No, it's not going to be that at all. But
I think-
that's the news of the day. A lot of people are chatting about that. Will coming through now.
Yeah.
And he's been a bit of a secret under the radar.
Well, it's been a secret because we've watched him as just a kid, really, come up from
fat kid.
and his career, and when I first found out that William boxed, I was astonished, because he just looks like a nice young man who wasn't going to go down that path.
Bang a bit.
But and then when Ant told me, he's a good, he told me years ago, he's a good young fighter. I said, he fights, does he?
Yeah.
And then obviously when the boys phoned me and Crolla texted me and said, listen, my brother's going to make the debut, May 27th, Manchester Arena, and I think there's always a huge amount of pressure on someone. It doesn't matter if it's your dad or your brother or whatever it is, you're following in the footsteps, and you'll always be compared to. It doesn't matter to say, I don't want him to be compared to me. Tough. It's the same if it's Nigel, Ben and Connor, if it's Chris Eubank and Junior. Even like with me. Like my competition's my old man. And William's competition, unfortunately for him, he's going to be Ant.
His dad Wayne.
Yeah. But, it's a great story. It's a great story. He's going to be given the opportunity because of that background, like Campbell, really. Campbell's. I think Campbell's really coming on.
Yeah,
he's always going to get stick, but he's improving, and it's going to take William time. But you know what? Sometimes, every now and again, someone comes through without, that huge amateur pedigree, and just looks really good, and just starts knocking people out, and So I'm excited. Baby steps, I suppose.
Yeah,
because
absolutely. No, he's not. Do you know what? I'll give you. He's not deluded. He knows it without making it about me. If his second name wasn't that, and he wasn't from Manchester, he wouldn't be getting this opportunity.
No, but he
he's
would
very
still.
thankful
But
for
because
it,
he's a
and he
popular
wants to
kid,
show
and because
it,
of you, ultimately, if you can sell tickets, you get opportunities. Now you don't get them on big TV shows just because you're a ticket seller.
Yeah,
the fact that he's going to shift a lot of tickets, he's your brother. It's a great story. I like it.
Yeah.
So let's see if he can fight.
A couple of quickies, Ed. You mentioned, obviously, we know about Cardiff here now, then it's Guadalajara for you, and then it's Dublin. So what Anthony wants to know, he's just pretending he doesn't want to know, but he does. What's the best night out of those three?
Oh,
It's hard, isn't it? It's Dublin. Look, Guadalajara is wild. Yeah. Wild. But Dublin's Dublin, isn't it? Listen.
mate, you said last time that the Conor McGregor Guinness Black
Black Falls Irish Stout.
That's it.
Fantastic
It's better than the
stuff. Yeah, really good,
So
really
we're
good.
going to have to see that.
But we got
challenge when we're over there.
Absolutely.
Look at that 3-week run, which is Guadalajara, Canelo Alvarez against John Ryder. May 20th, Katie Taylor against Chantel Cameron. 27th, the big night with William Crolla. Sorry, I mean Lara against Wood and Jack Catterall. So it's a
Will's
great
going to
run.
love this, isn't he?
I know.
He's creating a monster.
Yeah. Oh, well. Final one, a bit slightly left field, but I heard your dad, because you mentioned your dad before. I heard him talking about what happened in Sheffield in the Crucible. Have you had to think? Do you have to think about these serious things now about what happens if, or how you try and prevent it? Extra security with protesters and stuff.
Again, for however long the Crucible's been running, I don't know, 40 years. Yeah. Of course, there's never been any incident like it. My dad's fuming, and my dad thinks that actually everybody who attended should actually sue this young man for damages, quite frankly, because at the end of the day, you're disrupting, you're creating a lot of emotional issues for people who attended, and it's not nice, and it is worrying.
Yeah.
You know, it's the world we live in. It's the first time snooker's been front page news for a long time. I had a few people on social media who said, "Be honest, was that you and your old man?" After that, so when all things like that happen, you have to think about the situation, and unfortunately, we live in a world where, you know, the young son of a very wealthy investment company director wants to run onto the Crucible bays and vandalise it with paint and dust. So there you go. I don't see what it's got to do with snooker, but obviously they want to make their voice heard, and unfortunately they want to do it in sport. So it does make you think across other sports, whether it's darts, whether it's boxing. You just got to be on your toes.
You don't want to tempt fate, but if you do that at boxing, it wouldn't end well, would it?
No.
It wouldn't end well.
No,
Like,
I mean, I don't advise.
Well.
I mean, even at the snooker,
Yeah,
there was a
no
lot of
one's brave
unhappy
enough.
people.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't recommend, if anyone's watching, trying it at the boxing.
Yeah.
You have to make your way out of the arena. Cardiff
out?
on a Saturday night with 5,000 or 6,000 fans, probably not the best.
Very final one, Ed. Again, because it's not going anywhere. This chat about the heavyweights and Saudi.
Yeah.
I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, how realistic is the whole thing?
I mean, realistic, because Saudi mean business, and we've done deals there before, easily, frequently, and there's no negotiations, but I fly there next week to start those negotiations for that night. And one thing I will tell you is, obviously subject to the deal, which has never been a problem with them, AJ will fight Deontay Wilder or Tyson Fury, no problem at all. They need all 4 fighters on board to make it happen. I'm sure Usyk will do it. I know Deontay Wilder will do it. He's never really had
So what are you suggesting here?
Well, you know what? You know,
One might
ultimately,
not.
Tyson Fury will think he holds the key to it. You know, he's going to fight Andy Ruiz, I believe, July 22nd. July 22nd. You know, decent sort of warm-up fight for him, but who knows? I mean, a lot of work to be done. But I'm going out there, not for a holiday. I'm going out there to see if there's any legs to it.
Right. So, well, enjoy Cardiff. There we have it, Joe Cordina, Eddie Hearn. As ever, Eddie in very good form, and nice to see that most of the chat was about your will.
Yeah, we're creating a right monster there.
Yeah, we are. It's going to go over his head, isn't it?
Ego's out of control.
Oh, well, but in terms of Joe Cordina as well and the fight night in Cardiff, so what happens then, main event, Cordina, Rakhimov?
Main event, right, I believe it can't possibly help but not be a good fight. I really believe it's just got, when you look at Rakhimov's style, you look at it himself, and that was a fantastic fight, and listen, broke our hearts, because especially when Zelfa put him down, I thought Manchester was going to have a new world champion. But fair play to Rakhimov.
That would have been the first Mancunian world champion since someone else, wouldn't it?
It would have, and it was the one who I predicted.
You didn't really want him to win, did you?
No, of course I did. It was one I predicted he would win. I still believe he can be a world champion. But I believe on Saturday night, Rakhimov again, he's going to bring the pressure, but I believe he's going to walk onto Summit. And I just believe he might get up. I still think Joe's going to do it late on, but I just think his boxing skills, his IQ, he's unbelievably underrated. And I think when you look at them, I think it's very much Beauty and the Beast when you look at him, but I don't doubt for 1 minute Joe's heart. And I think he's going to need a little bit of that on Saturday, because he'll have to ride a few storms, but he does the job, and I think he does it around 9 or 10 rounds.
He might put his lights out. Who
Just
knows,
like
who
that.
knows, yeah. Sandy Ryan world title fight as well, that's an intriguing one. Some other little bits and pieces on the undercard. There's an all-Welsh British title fight, obviously, with Gwynn and Woodruff, which looks a cracker. But
it does.
Do you think Sandy's going to be the next female world champion for the UK?
I do. I believe we've got another world champion on Saturday night in the Matchroom stable as well. I think Sandy, she's learnt an awful lot from a defeat. She come back, avenged that. And I believe on Saturday night, I think Sandy fell in love with her own power. She got puncher's disease, as we call it, in boxing. And for me, Sandy Ryan is best when she's boxing, when she's thinking, when she's hitting and moving. And I think we're going to see that on Saturday night, and I expect her to come home on points.
And then in terms of Woodrow and Gwynn, what do you think?
That is a tough one. Jeez, I was in Bolton, wasn't it, when it was a draw? And listen, I think a big thing depends on, Woodruff built up an early lead last time, but Gwynn's come back and it was a draw, and you couldn't have argued. Both fighters felt they'd done enough. I never sit on the fence, do I? But I think a big part of it is what happens on the scales. If Gwynn does the weight well, then you favour him to start a bit quicker and win on points. But if not, Woodruff is a very good fighter. You lean to him. I think tomorrow on the scales is going to be a big thing.
And finally on this card, Manchester's Jordan Thompson
Yes.
against Swindon's Luke Watkins. Again, what happens?
Yeah, well, we've got two Manchester lads, and I believe both win inside the distance.
Right.
I think Watkins and Thompson are a really good fight, but I think Jordan, I think it's going to be a bit of a shootout. And I think Zelfa catches Sanchez before 6 as well. But he's a good opponent, good step in, he's been in great company. But Zelfa, it's any super featherweight on the chin, is a great chance to go over, as he's shown with Rakhimov.
Well, there we have it. The Matchroom press conference is at an end, and we are at an end here in Cardiff.